1 2 1 2. Mic check. What's good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. Thank you for joining. Doing a live on the Disney situation. Thanks for stopping by. Casual Goats able to make it much better. Casual Goats, why would you say this is a better time than 1 a.m. Eastern? I don't know what time zone you're in, but why would you say it's better to do one now than late at night? I'm just joking with you. Sarah and the Darren Monir, haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for stopping by. Maddie Brown, what is good? This is the only topic I have for right now. I might actually go live again later today around 3:30 Mountain. We'll see. But this one, I just had to do it now. This is the announcement, and I want to start off by saying this before I play this announcement and talk about it. I consider myself an ally to the LGBTQ community. And sometimes when you are a friend or an ally, and I say the same thing, I'm not an identitarian. So it sounds weird for me to say with black people. I'm separating myself because I'm talking about black people who view their skin color as their primary identity. So I don't associate with them. But for those who do, and I'm an ally to them too, for those who look at skin color as your primary identity, I'm an ally for you too. So that's why when Joe Biden says, you ain't black if you don't vote for me, that's why I go to those who look at skin color as identity and I say, you are in a poisonous relationship when somebody tells you that. And I have the same message for the LGBTQ community right now. I am an ally. I support any identity, whatever you want to be. I support your right to do and feel what you want to do and be yourself. But just because I'm giving you a warning or some feedback, an opinion, doesn't mean I'm not an ally. Oh, I'm an ally. I'm just going to have a conversation with you. If you don't know what's going on, Christopher Rufo broke a couple, I think they got it from a corporate meeting or something from Disney. So he broke this story here, and I'll play some of it just to start off, and I'll let people get into the live here. And what I'm going to do is play some of it and then talk through my feelings with it and some of my frustrations with those on the non-bootlegging left. They're still going down this pedo route, and it's a distraction. And I've really gotten in touch with this since the Ketanji Brown Jackson hearing, and I'm like, where are you guys going with this pedo stuff? That's not what's happening. I know that the thing that happened with E-Dog and his alleged suicide and all these things kind of lead people down the path of, I don't trust the institutions, so everybody's trying to be a pedo. And we've got to fall back off of that. That's not real. That's not, in my opinion. Of course, there's a percentage of pedos, but that's not the overarching thing. Just like those who disagree with the Florida bill that they labeled Don't Say Gay, just like I would say to them, if you consider half the country bigoted, there's something in your head that doesn't make any sense. Half the country is not a bigot. And I would say the same thing to people on the right. Half the country are not pedos. Stop with the pedo stuff. Use that as becoming kind of almost like a racist term being used. You know how the left uses racist and now it doesn't mean anything? Pedo is pretty soon not going to mean anything. So I would recommend falling back off of that. And that's not really what's happening, in my opinion. Let me know if the audio, as usual, if the audio doesn't work right. But let me play. I got a new setup, so if you see me looking this way, I got another monitor. So I'll see. It's kind of awkward, but I'm trying to step my game up. Thanks for stopping by, everyone here. Let me go ahead and play this video here, and then we'll talk about it. Sorry about the no audio on that one. Let me get that figured out. The the Disney execs had a meeting, and the meeting is, in my opinion, in regards to like the response of the, it's not really response of the don't say gay bill as how they labeled it, as much as it is a response to concerned employees that they have. And I mentioned this on a different, as I get this video queued up here, I mentioned this on a different live stream. If I own a company, if I work for a company and my employees have concerns, I can't ignore those concerns. Otherwise, I need to get this going in a different direction, a different business. So it's legitimate for them to have these concerns. It's legitimate for Disney to figure out these concerns, to say, how do we address these concerns from our employee base? I think they have to do that. I don't even think it's an option. So I don't have a problem with them saying, hey, I got to respond to basically our employees putting pressure on us because they're not happy with this bill. And they're in Florida. So I think that's perfectly reasonable for them to want to know what's going on. So I'm going to upload the video straight to my StreamYard so it plays right.
I'm here as a mother of two queer children, actually, one transgender child and one pansexual child, and also as a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I have heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of the last couple of weeks, in open forums and through emails and phone conversations. And I feel.
So she's talking about the feedback that she got. That's legitimate. No matter what you feel about the issue, if I've got this pressure, even if it's a small portion of the employees, but I think it's a significant enough one, and it's getting press for her to step up and say, how do we address it? That is absolutely fair.
Responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them, to all of us. We had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years, where one of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters.
I like that comment. She just said, we don't have enough representation. She's talking about the identity. So whatever identity she's talking about sounds like LGBTQ and minorities. I like what she said there. She said, she wanted more stories where they can just be characters and not. So I'm interpreting that as it's a character that represents this group, but they're just a normal person. They're just a normal character. I think that's where Disney can actually provide value to this. And I'm going to talk about it after I finish this clip here. I think that was the best part of this. I'm going to rewind it a little bit. I'm old school talking about rewinding something. Here.
Leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters, and not have to be about gay stories. And so that's been very eye-opening for me. And I can tell you, it's something that I feel perhaps had this moment not happened, I as a leader and me as my colleagues would not have focused on. And going forward, I certainly will be more so. I know that we will be. And I hope this is a moment where, the 50% of the tears, sorry, are coming. We just don't allow each other to go backwards.
So those are the comments there. And in a large part, I have no problem with her comments there. Here's where the problem comes for me is if I were to do this and say, hey, I'm going to increase the representation about these identities that I care so deeply about, I'm going to assume good intent here. I know there's comments in there about how she's feeling. I don't know what's in her head. I'm going to assume good intent. You know, it is possible, it's very possible that Disney could have said, you know what? We want to do more representation, but at the same time, we're not going to demonize DeSantis. We're not going to demonize this bill, and we're not going to demonize fellow citizens who support the bill. You know, that is a possibility. That's not what they're doing. They're coming out, and not in this clip here, but they're coming out very strongly against the bill. Instead of saying, hey, we don't have any problem. Here's what we do at Disney. We create heartwarming stories. And I see a divide in our country. And maybe we can use Disney as a platform to create heartwarming stories with representation that, I don't know, maybe brings us together for a couple hours to watch a movie. Why isn't that a possibility? It is a possibility. And because they didn't do that, it makes me wonder why. Because that's what, and I had a comment here from Quadruple Vax who said it's about restructuring society and its power dynamic. That is a fair criticism. Because if you weren't about restructuring the power dynamic, you would say so. You would be able to say, hey, I'm not really about restructuring anything here. We're Disney. We want people to hug after our movies. We want people to cry joy after our movies. We don't get into politics. We might donate and all that, but that's just the game. Every company donates. We're not taking a political stance here. We're taking a stance of love of country, love of fellow citizens, whether you're in the LGBTQ community, whether you're black, whether you're Native American, whether you're MAGA, whether you're a libertarian. We're going to represent all of you in these movies, and you're going to see some stories where they're just characters, and we realize we're all the same. If Disney was really about what Disney purports themselves to be about, I would expect a take more like that. But no, that's not the take. That's not their position. And that's why I have a problem. It's not about representation. I'm all for that if you want to do that. If you don't want to see it, then you just don't have to watch it. If they were really about respecting everybody as well, they could do a spin-off. Disney, if you want to do that much, 50% representation, which is perfectly fine, you could do a Disney, rainbow division. You could do a separate division. And so you could say, when you come to the Disney Plus, you can go to Disney. I'm just throwing it out. That's not to be disrespectful. I'm just don't want to keep on saying LGBTQ. But you can do Disney LGBTQ, or you can do Disney Plus, and you can decide. Or you can say, hey, I like them all, so you don't need to decide. It's all mixed in. So if you are, people who are religious are not always for this type of stuff, or if you're not religious and maybe you're like me and I'm like, my kids are a little young. I have a kid that's almost 3, kid that's 5.5 about, and I'm like, I just want him to live his life. I'm not really into having the discussion yet. You could call me a bad parent for that or whatever, but that's just how I feel, and my wife and I will decide that. So maybe you don't have anything against it, and you just say, hey, I just don't want that right now. And I'll be able to go down the road and see it. Why couldn't they announce that? That we're going to say, hey, we're going to respect everyone on this end. I think the feedback that we're seeing about people coming out so hard against this and saying, coming really hard against it. I might show some of the feedback to show you what I'm talking about. I really think a lot of it is more about Disney not respecting where they are. It's more about Disney not respecting where they are than anything. So here's the video. I'll just go through some of the feedback here just so you can see what I'm saying. So somebody said they did not see the 50% representation quota. I went straight to the Disney Reimagine Tomorrow website. This is clipped straight from the website, and it says by 2022, so the end of the year, 50% of regular and recurring characters across Disney General Entertainment scripted content will come from underrepresented groups. That's not my deal, but I have no problem with it. They can do that, of course. And I'm trying to put my money on places that I align with more on the philosophy, scale, ideology. I'm trying to do that, but I'm not canceling Disney over this, in my opinion. Maybe I would one day, but I don't have a problem with that. It's more about, like, is the story good? Like, how about that? Like, can we just make sure that the story is good? I don't really care too much about that stuff. I'll vet the movies though. If it's something that I'm not like, I don't want my kids to watch that now, I just won't have them watch it. But it is a little different because back in the day, we would just put on a Disney movie and watch it. Now, I'm going to vet it first. Just like when we go to the library. Back in the day when I went to the library with my parents, they didn't need to vet the books. We just got books and magazines and it was all good. If it was from the children's section, it was good. Nowadays, I'm vetting it. Not that I'm against anything, it's that I want to make sure what I'm getting into is what I want to get into. Let's look at some of the feedback here, just to give you a taste, and we'll go to the chat here too as well. But some of the feedback, Daniel Buck says, I'm continually amazed, astounded, disgusted that I don't want my child exposed to sexual content from other adults or strangers is treated as a controversial position. Good comment. I mean, that might be the only one I'll show. That's a perfect example of what I mean. People who are saying, this rubs me the wrong way, they are not against this topic. They're just saying, why is my position seem like I'm treated as a bigot now? Like, why is that controversial for me to say, I'd rather you not talk to my children about this, I'll talk to them. Basically is what the bill is at. Remember, people who are looking at the bill, people who are against it call it the Don't Say Gay. People who are for it call it parental rights. You're not interpreting the bill the same way. And I'm not going to get into who's right or wrong. The point is, people are interpreting the bill differently. So that it's not like you agree on what the bill is and then so the opposite ends are like bigots of each other. No, you're looking at the bill and you're interpreting it completely differently. So that has to be taken into account. If you want to do more characters, do more characters. Nobody, I think in a large part, nobody has a problem with that. They'll decide to cancel if they want, or they'll make their business moves how they want. I tweeted this. Most leftists are not pedos. People are pissing me off with that assessment because it's a distraction. They are, though. So Raquel Russell was asking, wait, you think the government is actively trying to convert people to a certain orientation, identity? And she's great on Twitter. I don't know. I think she's libertarian leaning. I just follow people who I think have good takes. So she's great. And she was like, wait, I think she's being serious here. You think the school is actively trying to convert? Yeah, they're trying to convert. It's overt. I mean, it's absolutely, the response to the bill in Florida pretty much proves it to me. Yeah, they're trying to convert. Now, I'm not saying they're trying to convert people to being gay or changing their gender. That's not what I'm saying. So I'll clear that up. They're trying to convert people into the LGBTQ community, and I'll clear that up, because that community, this is my warning, as an ally to you, I've seen the same thing, and I have a different perspective because my parents are Jamaican, and I don't have, it's just different. I'm a first generation American, and for Black Americans who are multi-generation here, I've just seen a lot of us see the world differently. No right or wrong. But I think the LGBTQ community is being commandeered as a politically obedient establishment group. That is exactly what happened to Black people in this country. That's why Black people, in a large part, 90%, 80%, 85% in these Democrat cities, even larger, 95% vote Democrat. Why is that? Does that make any sense to you? Why would one group, because of the color of their skin, latch on to a political party like they breastfeed them like they're, we're grown up, we're well beyond slavery, and we're still getting breastfed by the Democrat Party? Why is that happening? That makes no sense at all. No statistical sense. And I'm not saying you should run over to the Republican Party, but I'm just saying it should swing, right? Like, okay, this candidate might be better, this one not. You don't latch on to someone. You're grown-ass men and women. Why are we latching onto a party for? Because you have been commandeered. Your skin color has been commandeered, and that's why it pisses me off. to align with a political party. You ain't black if you don't vote for me. It took a gaffe machine. We already knew it. I didn't need Biden to say it to know that. We have black people who've already been saying that, like Nicole Hannah-Jones and others. But he said the quiet part out loud in an awkward interview on The Breakfast Club. His impression is, I'm speaking to black people now, and I'm going to make this little joke. That's what it is. And the same thing with LGBTQ. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Tell me what member of the LGBTQ community is pro-Trump. Tell me about that. Is Glenn Greenwald a part of the LGBTQ community that you support? Disney? Is Dave Rubin a part of it? Is Blair White a part of it? It seems like it's not really about that. It's about your political leanings. I have never seen anyone who is anti-establishment be accepted, championed, and put up on a mantle by that community who is not in the establishment. And the same thing with black people. Is Candace Owens celebrated in Black History Month? Is young Eric July? Is Officer Tatum? Is ABL? It's ideology in the establishment first, period. And it goes both ways. Some Republicans celebrate Dave Rubin, but they don't celebrate others. So it goes both ways. So I replied to Raquel here, and I said, yes, they absolutely are. It's no different than when Biden said it. The black identity right now in America, the black identity for those identitarians means nothing more than establishment bootlicker. That's why Candace Owens, she doesn't agree with the establishment, and now she's not black anymore. She's a white supremacist. Literally on Twitter, you'll see white people, black people calling her that. Why can't she be a black person that just doesn't agree with other black people? It's the same thing. That's my warning. Now, if you agree with the establishment, then you should be fine and comfy. But understand, if you are in any of these identity groups, the moment you don't agree is the moment you get kicked out of the club. You're done. And you can go back to YouTubers who have been historically left, and they say, wait a second, I don't like what's going on. Boom, gone. Algorithm, no more friendly. They don't have a lot of followers, leave them. It's very common. Officer Tatum voted for Obama. I voted for Obama twice. Then all of a sudden, now I'm like, wait, hold up. I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of questioning things. Now you're not really black anymore. So that's the concern. It's not about being gay. So they just want to make sure you are at least an ally. And I call myself an ally to any citizen, any group, pretty much, as long as you're not infringing on someone else's rights. Just want to make sure I'm not on mute for the last 10 minutes. I'm an ally for any citizen, any group. I'm not an ally how you describe it, though, because for them, an ally means you're anti-Trump, you're anti-Bannon, you're anti-populist right, or anti-real populist left, like Nico House and Kim Iverson and them. That's what they mean by ally. So I am an ally, just not how you mean it. The full acronym for this is something like LGBTQIA, something like that. And I'll show you another link why I say that. Because that's why they put the plus, because it's getting so long. One of the A's in there is ally. So you don't even have to be gay. I'm not saying the teachers are pedos. I'm not saying they're trying to change everyone's gender. I'm not saying they're trying to make everyone gay. That's not, no. They're trying to make sure all the teachers are allies, number one, because you don't want a teacher that's a non-ally having influence on the class. And that's going all the way up to the teachers' unions who are obviously tied in directly to the establishment. That's how the DOJ, FBI got involved with parents who disagreed with the teacher union and the school boards. So this acronym right now, my warning to those, I'm not against the group. I'm just giving you a warning that this acronym now, with all these letters, is now more defined by who it excludes than who it includes. And that goes for you too, Disney. Who are you? If you're really inclusive, you would include all ideas, even those who don't see eye to eye with you. I just did a video on Jeremy's razors. And the reason why I said is I align with them closer isn't because I agree with Daily Wire and everything. Jeremy Boring has a lot of great takes, though. But it's not, Daily Wire is milquetoast, it's establishment. Shapiro is cringe a lot. He's very smart, don't get me wrong, but his takes are so cringy. He's to me, he's playing a role. And he's kind of falling into this pedo stuff too. The reason why I like them is, and Ben Shapiro actually tweeted this, he said, we don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. We don't care if you agree with us or not. It's just a razor. Buy it or don't buy it. And why isn't Disney taking that approach? If they really are inclusive, if they really are about change or really good for the country, they'd be like, we make heartwarming, great stories. That's what we do. And we'll continue to do that. And we'll continue to do that whether you support the Don't Say Gay bill or not. So for our employees who are against the Don't Say Gay bill, how they label it, if you're against it, I'm showing you why we respect you. But here's where I'm going to challenge you as well. You've got to respect other people as well. Nope, that's not the case. So when you look at it, why did I say the acronym is so long? So you just look at what's the acronym. I'm not going to read all of, so it starts with LGBT. And so now there's 3 T's in it. It's breaking it down. The only one that really matters here in this breaking down and all this is ally. An individual who considers themselves a friend to the community. The goal is to have everyone in school at least consider themselves a friend to the community. And that sounds great, doesn't it? I'm a friend to the community. I don't even like calling it a community, but I'm using their language. Yeah, I'm a friend. It sounds good, right? It's always under the guise of something good and heartwarming. And yeah, who wouldn't want to be a friend? So can I be an ally and a Trump supporter? I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just throwing that out. I'm not anti-Trump, though. Can I be an ally and not be anti-Trump, at least? Can I be an ally and question the establishment narrative? Can I be an ally and question the teachers union? Can I be an ally and support libertarians? If you've seen that, let me know. I haven't seen it from Disney. I haven't seen it from these corporations making these big moves. Why not? Why hasn't anybody asked about that? Is Caitlyn Jenner an ally? I don't agree with Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn is, as far as the politics, I really can't even put a finger where Caitlyn's at. I don't even know if she has an ideology. She said things I've agreed with, but Caitlyn Jenner really, recently said, something to the effect of Leah Thomas has an advantage. Is Caitlyn Jenner an ally? So if not, then I'm defining your group because you've got everything under the sun in here with you. If you consider yourself a friend. So if Caitlyn Jenner is not in the community, then that's how I'm going to define the community, by who's not in it. The point of it is to exclude this small group. If it wasn't, then you would include them. So if you are in that group and you include Caitlyn Jenner, I'm not talking about you. I don't agree with the identitarianism, but we're cool. I don't have any beef with you. Then you probably should agree with my take on Disney then too. One of the things that Young July talks about a lot is this representation. And we're seeing that come up. And I'm just going to show you an example of what I don't need. This is Miles Morales, affectionately known. I don't know if Eric July made this up, but he always calls him Peter Darker. He's a minority representation of Spider-Man. And like I said, I'm all for representation. But the challenge I have with this is you're taking, so this is what you're seeing. If you don't know, Thor is one of the Marvel characters. So first of all, you took Spider-Man, who's an historically white male, and then you changed his race. And I'm obviously, people would consider me black. What some would, some probably would not. But that doesn't do anything for me. If you care about representation, make an original character with original stories. And I'm hoping that's what Disney does. I think that's what they typically do. But they have done some of this changing or kind of taking like Beauty and the Beast and adding something to it. No, make original stories if you really respect these identities. Because all you're doing is trying to dismantle, this is critical theory, dismantle historically white male characters. If your goal isn't dismantling anybody or dismantling white male characters, then why didn't you make Miles Morales his own new superhero? It's because you're part of the goal is to tear down, very similar to like New York taking down the Thomas Jefferson statue. It's to tear down the fabric of the country and to create a divide. I don't need a Peter Darker. I need original. If you want to do that, fine. I love representation of all different ideas and types. Make an original character. So then they already took Spider-Man. Then they make him Miles Morales. Then they put some stereotypical Jordans on him. Jordan 1s on him. Then they give him this haircut. And then they put this weird graffiti on it. What is that? Just like Static Shock was a dope character back in the way, they messed Static Shock up now. Static Shock up. But Static Shock was an original character. Make original characters. Then they take Thor, another white male. It makes no sense to race swap. I know this is a what if series, so they can do whatever they want. But then now they take the race swapped character to race swap another character. That's not giving me anything. That's not representation that's respectable. That means I only have legitimacy when I take down a white male character. That's asinine. It's disrespectful. It's insulting. I can stand on my own and still be with Thor and still like Thor and still like the original Spider-Man and Batman. Make cool characters. I don't know if like Luke Cage or whoever you want to do. But this is goofy right here. And that doesn't count as representation to me. Giving him these goofy graffitis, tattoos, haircut. That's not what we need. So I hope Disney doesn't go that route. There are characters who have been gay. The two that come to mind that were very successful in my mind. I don't know like ratings and all that. But in my mind, one was The Wire, one of the greatest shows ever. I think The Wire didn't do as well rating-wise as quality of a show it was. That show had representation of all different types in it. That's how you do it right. Ironically, these two shows I'm going to mention are from HBO. HBO does a hell of a job with their series. So it had all kinds of representations in The Wire. Black people who were rich, poor, politics, good-hearted, bad-hearted, people of all colors that had played different spectrums, and it was set in Baltimore. One of the most popular characters, and I forget the actor's name, he passed away recently, rest in peace. Somebody in the chat will probably holler at me with that. The actor that played Omar was one of the most badass characters ever written in TV history. He was gay. Nobody that I knew that talked about The Wire, who liked The Wire, ever said anything bad about Omar that I saw. I'm sure people made jokes or whatever. Omar was a great character. Original character. What about Adebisi? Oz, another HBO show. One of my favorite characters of all time. Let me search for those. You might have seen the memes of Adebisi. So if you don't know, Adebisi was this character in Oz. Oh, man, he was so good. This dude right here. Oh, my goodness, he was so hilarious. Picture small. Yeah, he always wore the Scully hat off to the side. Oh, man, we used to watch Oz like when it came out, kind of like Game of Thrones back in the day. We had to see the new Oz. and he was a gay character in the movie. I like, people make fun of Jussie Smollett. I loved his character in Empire. Empire is a great show. I liked Empire a lot. It was a hip hop musical, a hip hop and R&B musical. How cool was that? And Jussie's, I can't believe I already forgot his name on the show, but I loved his character. His character had the best music on the show. I did a video where I talked about Jussie, and I was like, Jussie, you were great on the show. I hate to see what happened to him off camera, or what he did to himself, to be honest. People will embrace good writing, good characters. You don't need to force feed it. You don't even really need to announce it. That's just another virtue signal. I guess because there's all this pushback, I can understand that. But I think in general, people are good-hearted. People don't care. What people are mad about is you disrespecting their views. It has to be both ways. Basically, they're saying, if you respect DeSantis, are you a part of the LGBT community as Disney would describe it? I would love to ask the executive that. And if they say yes, show me how. Where have you done to show me that you really believe that? Because we're talking about DeSantis, we're talking about the bill, and I've never heard it. So maybe I missed it. I wish somebody would ask them about that. If it wasn't about politics, they would say it's not about politics. It's clearly about politics. And people were really firing off. Really firing off on Twitter. And somebody has to step up and say, let's stop this. I haven't heard anybody prominent say, enough of this. We can still share a country. We don't have to agree. I'm not hearing it. Maybe it's out there. People were saying, Elon Musk, can you buy Disney, please? Number one, we got to stop with the Elon Musk begging him to do stuff. He's not the Godfather. He's not God. We've got plenty of people on all different spectrums that can start their own business. Everybody has a role to play. Stop begging Elon for everything. And I think it's better to have Disney and then have an alternative. I signed up for PureFlix. It's a cool website. I showed this the other day. Let me show that. I'm going to bring this over here and show this screen. If you're really about it, if you really care about that, I don't have a problem with Disney still. But yeah, if I'm going to watch where I'm spending my money, let me just go to the main site here. Oh, I have to sign in. But I think it's a good alternative. What they do is they have positive entertainment. Basically, it's somewhat religious in nature, some of the programming. But there's alternatives. Support that. You don't need to beg Elon Musk to do anything. I'm constantly amazed at how much we do that. Jeffrey Miller, I'm going to go to comments here in a second. I haven't looked at the comments, so sorry about that, but I just wanted to get that rant out. Jeffrey says, I think it's fine for groups to be represented in proportion to the prevalence in society as a whole. For me, I don't care if it's in proportion or not. It's whatever you want to do. But any company that insists on systematically overrepresenting any groups is trying to do social engineering through the availability heuristic, as psychologists call it. I agree. That is an attempt, when you have as much power as Disney, it is an attempt at social engineering. I agree completely, but we haven't updated the Constitution to stop that. What do you want me to do? You have to make a decision as a consumer. We haven't stopped it. We haven't updated anything to stop that. So it's still legal. And I really think we need our Constitution, 230-something, 250-something years old, we've got to start updating it. Like, we got to, I'm not saying to stop what Disney's doing, but in general, we got to understand, what is free speech? The Founding Fathers did not make the Constitution and assume that the First Amendment wouldn't be updated over 230 years later. That's not what they were expecting. So if they were to come back now, they'd be like, I don't know what the hell y'all are doing. That the First Amendment has almost no relevancy to what we're talking about right now. The reason why I'm showing this here is just to show people are asking, well, why would they do 50%? That sounds like a large number. Well, this is a report from Newsweek. Nearly 40% of U.S. Gen Zs, 30% of young Christians identify as LGBTQ. Now, remember, basically, all you have to do is be an ally to be in the group. I don't know if they included allies or not, but it's not that shocking when you think about it. So if that's what they're doing and that's going to be their workforce, that's going to be the people watching, I think there's a legitimate business reason even to do it. Now, I don't think a lot of this stuff doesn't succeed because they don't have the intent to write a good story. They just want to put a face on it. So I'm not saying it will succeed. It will all depend on how good the stories are. But there is a reason to base that thought of this is the future. And why do you think they're bringing everybody into this group? When Gen Z grows up, they're not going to be populist right or left. They're going to be establishment, whoever that is. They're going to have it on lockstep. They want to go back to the way it was before Trump, where it was Mitt Romney or Barack Obama, and the establishment couldn't care less which one you chose. I always say Barack Obama was just a little bit darker version of Mitt Romney. They really couldn't care less which one you chose. Let me go to the chat real quick. I'm sorry, it's been a minute here. Let me go through. I'm going to start with the most recent and then go up here. We need to start calling the groomers out. I want to be careful with the term groom because people, I'm going to search in Twitter. I actually replied to somebody on that. I know what you mean. So I'm not disagreeing necessarily. I don't even know what my stance is, but I was like, ignore the term groomer. That was somebody calling me a groomer. I don't know why it's not finding it. I had an interaction with somebody. Oh, maybe it's because it's just in me. I had an interaction with somebody where I talked about this groomer term, and I'm not using it. I don't like how it's being used. Wow, I don't know why it's not finding it. I tweet too much, so it'll be hard to find. But I think people are using that term groomer, and really all it means is the term groomer. All it really means is, to me at least, is trying to guide a child, somebody who's underage, let's say somebody under 18, to guide them in a certain path behind the backs of their parents and family and those who care about them, basically. So it's not just with it's just not just with LGBTQ. It's with politics. With anything. So that's my take on the term groomer. But I hear what you're saying. Thank you, Augustus. Eat Chuck said Peter Darker. Yeah, Eric July makes me laugh every time he says Peter Darker. The exaggerated swagger of a Norse god. So that, did I put that up there? Let me put that up there. Like how, like that's Norse mythology. We are so lost that we're taking Norse mythology and race swapping. There weren't black Scandinavians, y'all. Like you're taking it too far. Another example of taking this too far. I'm an ally for the LGBTQ community. I consider myself, people can say what they want or not. So I'm saying this from a point of love and understanding. There's boundaries to this thing. And I'm going to look up Libs of TikTok to see if Libs of TikTok has become an invaluable resource to show some things, like if you want an example of something. Not to mean that it is prevalent, but if you just want an example of something. And I saw one from the other day. Let's see if I can find it real quick. This one. Oh, my audio's not working, so let me. But this one here, this person was talking about their pronouns. And I've got no problem with it, but they're using pronouns. So you look at them right now, they're looking down and reading. They had to read the pronouns that they were making up. We've got to have boundaries. I am fully invested, agree with the LGBTQ community. If you want to be called a pronoun, I will honor that. And I really have questions for those who will not. That means you want to fight somebody or you want to basically disrespect them. But when you get to the point where you're making pronouns up, literally like them, all these other things, all these misses, and that's not, you're making stuff up. So if you want to do that in your circles, that's fine. But to walk up to a perfect stranger and say, I go by the pronoun V, like, stop. There has to be a boundary. Use that with your circle of people who know about that. You're reading your pronouns off the script. You don't even know them by heart. That there's a boundary that has to be there. If you've got pronouns that are already in the English language, I'm going to honor them. If you're making stuff up, then I'm going to say my pronoun is God. My pronoun is MAGA. I mean, it's just stupid. Outside of your group that acknowledges. If you've got a special group, do it in that group. But we can't be race swapping Norse mythology. That's just, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Casual Goats says, literal communist methods, whether people realize it or not. That is what's happening here. Dan Plemick says, thank you for your sanity. Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see. Yeah, the world has gone mad. The LGBTQ wants us to like them, but they can hate us. Sarah and the Darren Monier, that's why I miss interacting with you. I should do more lives during the day. That's it right there. Like, if you've got to be able to say, I disagree, but I don't hate you. And then we can kind of figure stuff out and live together. That's not Disney's place. That's not what everybody else is saying. It's outrageous. In the Oscars, you know, they had that awkward moment where they're like, I'm gay. You know, it's fine if they want to support the LGBTQ community, but the moment, if you saw it, Google it, Amy Schumer and I forgot the other ones, Wanda Sykes, I think, and they were just they just said the word gay and they were dancing. I'm like, it really came across as just spitting in the face of the people who didn't agree. It wasn't about celebrating LGBTQ. It was more about using them as leverage against their political enemies. So insulting. I want no part of it, at least from, I can't speak for that. I'm not in that identity, but I can speak as a black person that I don't have any piece of my heart that thinks that type of stuff is okay. Community. Sounds like commie speak to me. I think community can be good, but in the way they use it, absolutely. That is exactly what they mean. And not in a utopian communist way, in a dictatorship type of way. Rita BC says, big corporations, big tech, mainstream media, Hollywood all go hand in hand with the corrupt government. If you want to disagree with that, Disney, show me how you've stepped out of the establishment. Show me when you have gone against the establishment views. The Ron DeSantis bill is not an establishment bill. By establishment, I mean establishment GOP, establishment Democrats. Tell me when you've gone against the establishment. So you can say what you are or what you want to be, but if you have never done that, then you are not against the establishment. You are, I don't know, that would be considered conspiracy. I'm saying it doesn't matter whether it's a conspiracy or not. Your actions align with the establishment either way. I don't care if it's a conspiracy or not. Casual Goat said, I think that's more so the logic of the left will eventually lead to pro-pedo sentiment. It is inevitable. I understand it. It's leading down that way. And even though I said that the left isn't pedo, they definitely are not above manipulating children. And that's really what the term groomer is, and I'm not using it. I just don't like the connotation with the term. So I'll just spell it out. They're not above manipulating children for political gain. But we had a whole pandemic that was manipulated for political gain, literally life or death. At this point, there is nothing that is sacred, including children. We masked 2-year-olds. And I'm not saying if you go listen to your doctor, listen to the overlords, YouTube, CDC. I'm just saying there's nothing out of bounds at this point. There is no end to this. And I'm also upset that Disney has all this energy for citizens in Florida or any state that agree with the Florida bill. And they have energy against the state in our union. But when it comes to getting their material out to markets that aren't as friendly, like let's say China, they don't have that same energy. Why is that? If you really are for the LGBTQ community or minorities, when China says, nah, that movie won't fly here and they edit it out, well, why don't you boycott that market? Because maybe you are for the whatever identity, but you're for that money first. That's for damn sure. All that energy for a state in the union, but no energy for another country. I'm gonna end with this. I'll look and see if there's any other chats coming in. Yeah, I'm gonna end with this. That I'm going to pray for our world and our country. I We can't live like this. It's not going to end in a good way. So as much as I want the government, the federal government decentralized, I know this sounds stupid, but I want it to be done in a peaceful way. And I put God's will above all this other nonsense that we have here. And the way I feel is that the path that we're going down is not God's will. And that's not against any identity. I'm saying the approach to inclusion is not, and if it is God's plan, then I'm out on God. So that's where I'm at. I don't think it is. Because this, to me, is more the work of division. And that's not the plan, I don't think, for harmony, the yin and the yang of the universe that I believe in. So I'm not, when I talk about God, I'm not a real religious, I'm trying to get into the Bible more. I'm not very knowledgeable in organized religion. I'm just coming from the heart. And this is sickening. What Disney's doing, what we're saying is okay. We're not setting proper boundaries. Every healthy relationship has proper boundaries. We're not setting boundaries of let's not demonize each other. We're not setting boundaries of let's not say this because that's too far gone on both sides. The culture war is truly sickening. And right now, we're in a battle for the soul of not just the U.S., just humanity in general. So thanks a lot for stopping by. Let me know what you think down the road. I might do another live because I had other topics, but I really had to get a rant out on this one. I just was not feeling where people were coming from with this one at all. Even people I respect, like Tim Pool and others, going down the pedo route too much. So take care.